looking to achieve your aspiration. This is the place where you will learn to find the answers, where you will be motivated to discover your inspiration, where you will be propelled to realize your aspirations. With today's global challenges, the role of the engineer, the scientist, and the technologist is transformed from being the technical innovator into being the agent of global change. Our world-class resources and faculties, our cutting-edge facilities, our global partnerships with leading universities, our strong network with industry for internships and job placements, our worldwide research collaboration. These are the inspirations and the opportunities at UTP. Here, we nurture the analytical skills and intellectual capabilities of all who walk the UTP path. Here we culture the ethics and the attitudes that will shine in the real world. Here we expose ourselves to what it truly means to be human, to be a valuable part of society, to be the empowered people, the game changers who will light up the path towards a better world and change lives for the better. At UTP, the torch is firmly in your hands. So hold it up high and let us together light it and let it burn brightly. Join us to seek inspiration and achieve your aspiration towards global prominence.
this is like the biggest campus esports tournament in Malaysia. The prize pool up to 180k, and also campus yang paling banyak menang akan menerima scholarship up to 50k for the students. So again, I would like to say thank you to UTP to be the co-organizer as well as XPAXKEK for make it happen. So kita ada juga penaja bersama kita yang lain, rakan kerjasama kita My Game On, Kitaman dan juga Mobile Legends Club. And kita ada juga our sponsors, our co-sponsors. Kita ada Sadus, Boost, Toda, Mountain Dew, Cadbury 5 Stars dan juga My Game On, our local and official gaming portal. So for the last session, I think this is quite interesting because last session our speakers will be going to talk about career guide in esports and gaming industry. So maybe you guys macam tak tahu lagi apa sebenarnya career path yang kita boleh venture kalau kita minat in gaming industry. Because for some people, they already know gaming, main game, and also the developers. Actually more than that. So kita ada this guy, he knows more about the career guide in the gaming industry. So if you guys are software punya student, maybe you guys nak tahu, okay, macam mana I nak venture into gaming software, or if as engineering punya student, so macam mana, apakah the pathway that you guys can actually go into the esports scene in Malaysia. But before that, I would like to say thank you to everyone yang datang hari ini, kerana esok dan Ahad kita akan mulakan pertandingan top 16 untuk Mobile Legends Bang Bang, Dota 2 dan juga Pro Evolution Soccer PES 2019. Dan pada anda yang datang hari ini, anda juga berpeluang memenangi pelbagai hadiah menarik. Hanya perlu mendaftar, dapatkan raffle ticket and visit our booth to get the chop and bingo. If you number dapat bertuah hari ini, you'll walk away with some amazing prizes. And just to remind you, on our final day, kita akan ada amazing lucky draw which offers you banyak barang seperti Todak gaming chair, Sadus gaming headset, and also mouse, and also the keyboard. Kita ada boost credit up to 1,000 ringgit Malaysia and other stuff as well. Okay, baiklah. Kita akan serahkan pentas ni kepada our final speaker of the day. So saya nak menjemput incubator manager from Level Up Inc. Kalau nak tahu Level Up Inc ni, it is an area di mana all the game developer in Malaysia duduk and buat game, and it was handled by MDEC, Perbadanan Kemajuan Digital Malaysia. Dan tanpa membuang masa untuk cakap mengenai career guide in esports or gaming industry, I would like to invite Mr. Bazil Akmal Bidin from MDEC. Tepukan untuk Encik Baz.
Thank you,
Alright.
Dia.
Baz, the stage is yours, the audience is yours. Enjoy.
Okay, thank you guys for staying back for the last session. My name is Bazil Ahmad Bidin, but you can just call me Baz without the light year. I cannot fly just yet, so the day I fly, I'll call myself Buzz Lightyear. So without further ado, we came from MDEC, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. It's a government agency that handles digital economy, and part of the portion that we venture into in terms of verticals is basically creative content and technologies. So our team is from CCT. A few of my colleagues are here as well. We've been working together with Media Premier Digital, My Game On, and other partners such as Kitaman to grow the esports industry and also game industry in general. So today's topic is going to be about career guide for the game industry. So just to share a bit in terms of the game industry itself or creative industry itself, I'll just show you this part. This is sort of like how big the creative industry is. So literally everything that falls from music, from animation, film, games, VR, AR, even books, all those are basically creative industry. And of course, there's a lot of shift towards digital creative industry, and that's where we focus in MDEC. And two of the pillars that we focus the most is basically animation and games. But today, since the audience is mostly games, so we're going to dive deep into the game industry itself, and I'll try to share some tips and tricks in terms of getting yourself a career into the game industry. So I'll start with a bit of showreel and highlight what the game industry is about. Most of you guys played most of the games, but there are a lot of game contents being created that you guys might not know about. So just check it out. So you basically have 2D games, console game, desktop games, action game, mobile puzzle games, VR games, people also use games for actual training and simulation, like NASA project. People use game in medical simulation. Those of you who played the surgeon simulator probably know. Right? So Unity is one of the most popular tool in terms of game technology. Besides that, I'll share as well Unreal. So some of you guys probably play some of the Unreal games. Those of you who know Fortnite will definitely know Unreal. We try to get the video up. Oops. Okay. I think it takes time to load. Because Unreal usually is the AAA game, so it's a bit heavy. Game technology can be used to make all kind of games, MMO, fighting games, action games, shooting games, and all kind of genres. Fortnite, the highest grossing game nowadays. Epic Games make about 300 million USD per month. Currently with Fortnite, they have about 250 million players in the world now. $300 million per month, that means about 10 million per day. So basically, Epic Games, they go sleep tonight, tomorrow they wake up again, they got another 30 million. USD, by the way. That's how big the game has been. PUBG, which is sort of the grandfather of all battle royale games, are also developed with Unreal Engine. People also use Unreal in all other kind of content, VR simulation, training, and all that as well. League of Legends, that video with the dragon just now, is actually made by a Malaysian company. Okay, moving on. So just to share, that's basically what the game industry has been up to in the last 2 years or so. So the first question that you have is like career in the game industry. What does that mean? So how many guys have seen the image on the left side? You guys know what game is that? Overwatch, right? So Overwatch is a game made by Blizzard. So a lot of us who play Overwatch is like, oh, I like that character, I like Hanzo, right? So you pick that character and you play that character, right? And truth is that in the game industry, it doesn't work that way. So in the game industry, you don't suddenly become Hanzo, right? The samurai warrior that have the dragon skills. You don't do that. You start more like Ragnarok. The screen on the right, most of you guys probably have not seen this game. It's technically used to be the most popular MMORPG in Southeast Asia for about 15 years back. That's Ragnarok Online. And in Ragnarok, you actually start as a noob. The leftmost is basically a newbie. That's basically where you start. So you start with just nothing literally, or a novice or a rookie. And then you level up, you grind, you kill your porings, and after a while, you got enough XP, and then you got level up, right? And from there, what happened to you after you level up? You get to choose your next class, right? You got to upgrade yourself, you get to specialize into being an assassin, or a thief, or you can be a mage, right? And as you keep leveling up, you keep growing, and you're becoming better, and of course, a lot of you guys probably who play Ragnarok want to be Assassin X, or they call it Assassin Cross, right? So that's like the one of the best skill, right? And that's the interesting part, because that's true in the game career. You don't expect to become Hanzo. You don't join the game industry and become Hanzo, and that's it, right? You joining become the first version of Hanzo, the noob samurai, and then you level up, you grind, you become better, and along the way, you become the best Hanzo player in the world, right? And that's true with life. So in the game industry as well, you have to look at it that way. So when you join the game industry, you have to look at you are grinding up like a typical MMORPG, right? Okay. In the game industry, there are generally 3 major fields, but there's beyond that, there's a lot more jobs that I'll share with you. Those of you who take IT, computer science, software engineering, stuff with programming. Myself, my background is programming. I've been doing it for almost 10 years. So generally, this is the role that you will play if you were to join a game company, and sort of a snippet of what you can get yourself into. Let's play the video. Audio, please.
Working as a gameplay programmer is kind of this perfect hub between design, art, and programming.
It's a kind of a physical art. It's about trying to manipulate that interface between the player and the game.
Your job is to ease the player's interaction with the world and transform the player's input into gameplay mechanics.
There's so much in the way that humans move and behave and think tactically and coordinate with each other that you take for granted as a human. And every single one of these we have to meticulously put in and create.
So before even getting down to working on something, say in the engine, we do so much research. If we were working on the climbing system, we would actually go to, say, like climbing gyms to try and come up with a design that makes sense, and really understanding what the characters on screen should be doing.
Our relationship with game designers is, it's really symbiotic. We're going to, have plenty of back and forth discussions with them, so you can have a great exchange of ideas.
The designer is there. He gives the ideas. We use the technology to convert the design into reality, into an actual physical game which player can play.
The thing that the gameplay programmer does is they have a far greater grasp on what's technically possible. And designers inspire programmers to push those limits further than they would have expected as well.
It is my responsibility to start learning about all the different areas of game development and working with those experts to seeing how can AI and gameplay support that.
If you're at the beginning of a new project, you're going to be doing just basically only prototyping all the time. There's going to be lots of ideas going around, and you have to just make a quick and dirty version that basically works.
It's always an iterative process to get to the most fun, the most engaging experience.
Mobile game is actually very iterative in nature. My role is to actually build the basic foundation of it so that designers can build components in the meta system.
A gameplay programmer's work is basically connecting systems together to make up the entire world, the interactions with the player, with the events, with everything.
You have to put a lot more attention to how the world works and how believable it is.
The open world systemic thing, you kind of have to try and think in terms of what are all the possible things that can happen and how can what I'm making react to those possibilities.
With AI, it's the cornerstone of what makes the game interesting. It's the thing that makes the world alive.
We really wanted to push the AI for the NPC characters in Assassin's Creed Unity. One of the things that we really wanted to do is have the characters aware of their surroundings and aware of the people around them. The player then feels really immersed in, say, Paris, because there's all these things that the characters around them are doing.
It takes a lot of creativity and innovation, and that makes it a constant challenge.
Okay, moving on. Next, we look at game art. So this is for those of you who take multimedia classes, art classes, you do animation. These are very similar field. But for games, the difference between animation or film compared to games is real time, which means your art asset has to be optimized because everything is rendered 60 frames per second. So there's really, really huge optimization that comes into making your art asset. And I'll share you the video. Audio,
Technical artists bridge the gap between art and the other departments. We handle the technical aspects of art creation.
Tech is just our medium. It's how you get everything into the game. It's how we build the art content and it's how we make it run.
Donc effectivement, il faut avoir une certaine connaissance artistique sur les process, mais aussi de savoir ce que ça implique d'un point de vue technique.
In the beginning, we're focused on creating the pipeline, workflow, and the tools the artists can work with.
There are so many technologies, so many people involved, and we have to communicate on a high level to just make sure that the technology and pipeline is consistent and solid.
In the development phase, we actually just fine-tune this process, and at the end of the game, we are focused on optimizing, polishing, and putting in all the tricks we can so the game works great, looks great.
Syndicate brought with it its own challenge. We were tasked with creating the Thames in London, so it involved looking at all the different boats we have, all the different dock pieces, and making sure that each one of these is optimized to fit.
Technical artists always have to deal with complex issues, and those arise every day. So every day is a critical day for the technical artist.
You have to know how to use all the tools that artists use, but you have to understand how they work, why they work like that, how you could make them work better.
We are there to make sure that they don't have any blockers or anything not working. We debug issues for them. We look to improve efficiency.
One of the really cool things we've done was creating an iceberg. We managed to bring the snow looking real, the mix between snow and ice looking real, and the ice that has a specific translucency in one asset with one single material.
Effectivement, à chaque fois, il peut y avoir des challenges techniques parce que ça n'a jamais été fait. En tout cas, de notre côté, on découvre de nouvelles choses en production.
We need to be adaptable problem solvers because we have always changing tech. We get new New consoles, different games will have different engines and different editors.
We are going to create a procedural tool that's going to help us to create rivers and waterfalls, and you're starting to automate more and more and more things.
Now you can procedurally scale it or place it turned and all sorts of tricks with just one asset.
Technical artists are a core player in a team when building a big open world now.
What we're focusing now is on creating really believable worlds that you can interact with. Giving life to that open world is still quite challenging, especially from a performance point of view.
If you like how technology evolves, if you really want to have a strong understanding of it and make better game, this job is a great opportunity to stay just in the middle, to have a look at everything and to try to make things better every day.
Next, we have game design, which is a sort of a new field. So you don't have this traditionally in any other industry. So game design is sort of a mix of psychology, right? Psychology is a very interesting field, and because ultimately when you play games, you want to have fun. And the best part is that fun is very different from one person to another. I'm just gonna give a guess. How many of you guys here are horror fans? You watch horror movie, you watch horror, play horror games and all that, right? Okay, so it's about 10%, it's about right. So the rest of you probably just wonder like, why? Why do these people pay 18 ringgit to go to cinema to scare themselves? It does not make sense to them. Why? Because for them, being scared is not fun, right? But for you guys who put up your hand, being scared is fun. And you guys love that thrill. And you guys look for that kind of thrill. And so is games. There are horror games, there are adventure games, there are action games. Of course, action is sort of like the most common thing, sort of like movies as well. So some people watch romance movies, some people watch comedy, some people watch horror, but almost everyone can go with action movie, similar with action games, right? Everybody kind of like do what Marvel churn out, you'll watch it, right? So that's sort of like how genres work. And game design have to understand that and implement in your game because different games provide different kind of fun. So let's listen to them in terms of what kind of work that designers do. Audio, please.
The word level design is such a generic term, but under the level design itself, there are many more tasks.
We're realizing the environment, not only from kind of an emotional, fictional standpoint, but also from a gameplay standpoint.
On utilise le moteur de jeu tous les jours avec des outils très variés, que ce soit pour faire de l'environnement, de l'animation, mettre en place des caractères ou créer des missions.
I'm a gamer myself and I know what to expect to have fun with a game, and by bringing that mindset to design, it really helps being able to push the design even further.
On a plusieurs choses pour augmenter le fun. On va faire en sorte de rythmer le jeu en fait. Ça se traduit par la difficulté. Après, en termes de variété, pareil, on va proposer des types d'interactions différentes. Des passages plus rapides à certains endroits, des passages qui demandent plus de réflexion à d'autres. Et du coup, on va varier comme ça le type d'interaction que le jeu aura avec le niveau.
It's like we are communicating with the player. I create something, you playing it.
The notion of open world is evolving. It's maybe getting a little broader in scope, and I think that player expectation is ultimately more and more freedom.
If I can get the player to walk around and see the small little detail that I put in, it's fun.
We also want to make sure that we're providing content that's logical to the world, but all the while, we need to make sure that that open world is supporting the core gameplay.
Comment orienter le joueur dans ses actions pour lui permettre d'utiliser ce monde au maximum.
Being a designer, it's really about knowing how to be creative with what you have. In Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I worked on an EV mission. You had to infiltrate the Tower of London to assassinate a female Templar.
You have a target, you have to kill someone. The balloon mission is something that is a little different. They want to add the romantic aspect into the gameplay. Are you alright?
Sur le mobile, comme les niveaux sont très courts, ça permet de travailler seul sur un niveau en fait. On n'est pas restreint à une seule tâche et on produit tout de A à Z sur ce niveau-là.
Je travaille avec énormément de personnes, aussi bien des GPP, des animateurs, des game designers que des graphistes. J'essaye d'avoir une vision 360 de l'ensemble du jeu. Ça reste difficile car dans un open world, c'est plutôt grand. Donc c'est vrai que la solution, c'est la communication entre les équipes.
A strong tech background helps you hit the ground running, but it doesn't mean you cannot learn on the job. The tools empower me as a designer to know what I can do in the game.
Here, we're working with Snowdrop, which is a next-gen engine. And they can very quickly take a rough idea, implement it, and have it in game, and put a pad in somebody's hands and say, what do you think?
Designing is a very iterative process. You kind of have a high-level vision, and then you decide, okay, let's lay down the foundation for it, and eventually you reach a point where you have the cinematics, you have the great art, the lighting, and that all comes together.
If you're interested in working on projects that don't compromise quality and go all in on making it a memorable experience, I think Ubisoft is exactly that place.
Okay, moving on. Workplace culture. So when you join the game industry, what can you expect in terms of workplace culture? So it's very much an open concept, so very little partitions, usually sort of open co-working environment. A lot of discussion area with whiteboards because you need to scribble down your ideas to detail out and explain and communicate to your team members. And casual dress code, so game developers tend to be the most casual people. And there's actually a flat management hierarchy. Those of you who've read about Valve employee handbook, is very much what generally some of the game companies adopt. There's a lot of creative and innovative and fun activities such as jamming, playing games, and all that, right? So let's look at the jobs, right? So what kind of jobs can you get? What are the roles, right? You can just Google up these names, and all these are basically available jobs, and these are the terminologies that we use in the game industry. So on the left side, you have the game art, which is the field of creating visuals for the game. And then on the middle, you have the game design, which is basically, like I say, the people actually make the game fun or figure out what makes the game fun. And you have game technology, which is the programming side that actually creates the game. And all these are generally all kind of roles that you can find, whether it's 2D, 3D, depends on the kind of game. You have a level designer and all that as well. But this is for people who actually create the games. And beyond that, games is such a complex beast. Anyone can guess the Assassin's Creed, I think Black Flag, which is the fourth Assassin's Creed, right? How many people actually it takes to make that game? Anybody want to give a guess? Yes? 20 people. You think, okay. Good guess, it's totally wrong. It's 3,000 people. It's 3,000 people over a period of 1 year. And some of them in Singapore, some of them based in Montreal, some of them based in Bucharest and all that. The multiple Ubisoft studios. So you can meet 3,000 people to make one game. And that's a lot of effort because every single boxes, every single door that you see, every single walls that you can climb, someone have to put it there. And they have to test it, whether it's fun, whether it's not fun, whether it's possible to climb or not to climb. And that takes effort, and that takes time. That's why making games is such endeavor, because for Assassin's Creed, they were releasing one Assassin's Creed every year, right? And that's where the job's coming in, right? Because games is such a huge industry, and it makes a lot of money, and that's why people are willing to work for it, right? But beyond this, let's say you can't draw, you're not sure whether you can figure out what's the fun in games, or you definitely have a dizzy head when you look at codes. What else can you do in the game industry? I think that's where I think the esports team of today, because part of the bigger landscape of game industry, esports is part of it. And this is among the career paths that you can get beyond the main three. So you have your YouTuber, you can be voice actor, you can actually work in esports, and esports itself. Today we had Richard sharing the kind of jobs that you can have in esports. There's plenty of it. You can work in marketing, you can work in user acquisition, you can be mocap actor, you can do PR, and all these are available jobs. Some might not be in Malaysia, but you can always go abroad and do the dream job that you want to be part of, right? Moving on, what are the specific skill set that you require to join the game industry? Number one, people ask you about passion. So passion is really important. Why? Because it's not easy. Like the sharing from Ikuto and all that, it's definitely not easy, but you have to start with the love towards the craft, right? And from the love, that's when you can go through hardship, and that's when you don't give up. So that's the fundamental requirement. But passion alone is not enough, because everybody in this room are passionate about game. That's why they are here, right? And what will set you apart is that when you translate your passion into all the other skill set, the problem solving, the critical thinking, the creativity and imagination, communication skill and discipline, and all this will need the passion, because you won't be disciplined in something that you don't like. You'll only be disciplined in something that you love, and that's the truth. And you need to have competency in specific skill sets, be art, game, design, or programming, or other field as well. And the more importantly, you should have a non-work related hobbies beyond games. For example, right, if you were to join the team that actually makes Street Fighter games, right, do you know what kind of hobby would be really useful for you to work as an animator there? Martial art. Imagine if you do Jeet Kune Do on your MMA, right? You've been doing martial art all your life, and now you have to animate one new character that use MMA movement. You're the best person to do that because you understand that. You live your life. So to me, having that additional non-work related activity will help you to become better at what you do in the game industry, and that's very important, right? So what are the types of game companies? There are many types of it, but generally I would just describe it to between these five. So there's indie game studio, which is basically a small startups. There are one person to 10 people, and they make games, many kind of games. And there's a mid-sized game studio between the size of 10 to 100. And then you have art production studios. We'll share a bit of show reel later in terms of art production studio. These are generally large studios between 30 to 300. And then you have game publishers between 10 to 150. And obviously the large game studio, which is like 100 to 500 people. So this is generally what we have in the landscape. I'll just share quickly in terms of, this is sort of the list that we have in Malaysia. And I'll share more on the video, the kind of work that they do as well. So this is a mid-sized game company in Malaysia. There's also art production studios. Do you know that Bandai Namco Studios is actually based in KL? They actually have a studio that develop art content for the rest of Bandai Namco Studios in the world in KL. And Bandai Namco owns most of the Japanese IP. If you're talking about Naruto, you're talking about Dragon Ball, you're talking about Ultraman and all that, they have the game rights, right? The IP rights for games. And they are now based in KL as well. Moving on, we also have game publishers in Malaysia. So these guys, they don't make games, but they help to sell games. And this is probably the brands that you know because you consume their games. Those who bring MMO games back in the days and all that, right? And large game studios, at the moment, we do not have one in Malaysia, but nearby Malaysia, there's multiple of large size game studio. Hopefully, in the years to come, some of the new studios will set up in Malaysia, and you guys can actually apply jobs after your graduation. So what are the MDEC game industry programs that we have 2019? So we'll share you a bit on what we've been doing, and sort of like to cover the development of the ecosystem. The first one, we have actually Level Up at School. So this program is very unique, where it's actually targeting secondary school students to actually introduce them with the game development skill set. I'll let the video do the telling.
Honestly, what we do and what we want out of this is to empower students, teachers. It's to tell them
by the time that you finish your high school, you can already develop games. But never think that it's too big to become a game developer.
So last year we did 16 sessions, all states and federal territories. So imagine you guys are tertiary level student, and that's basically secondary. Your adik-adik and younger than you, that's actually making games already. So you guys, if you haven't started making your own games, you can start to catch up, right? There's enough online tutorials that you can follow up, and you can talk to us as well in terms of how to get involved with our activities. Next is basically our incubator. This is specifically what I manage at MDEC. This is basically an incubator program where we house some of the best top indie game studios in Malaysia. And these are some of them. So we have about 9 total, 8 house, 1 alumni. And I'll share a bit of the kind of work that Malaysian game studios have done for you to understand the kind of job, the kind of work or project that you get involved if you join some of this indie game studio. This is Kaigan Games.
Hi. Hello to myself. This is video log number 1. I'm supposed to just speak my mind. Whatever comes, no wrong answers.
This game is available on iOS and Android and Steam.
Gonna see this.
You can check it out.
Work has been pretty crazy lately, and I just needed an outlet of sorts. There's no point wasting time, so here I go. What's the worst that could happen?
So those of you who love horror games, this is a Malaysian product that have won multiple awards internationally. So you totally check them out. Right? Moving on. It's an action game on mobile. So next we have No Straight Road. Those of you who know the photo just now, it's one Hazme.
We're metronomic and we're based in warm and sunny Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We call ourselves metronomic because we care about music in games. I love rhythm games. But when I invite my friends to come over and play with me, they say, no, we'll just watch. We believe that everybody loves music. Hence, we want to make games that appeal to everyone, that has people playing the music in the game without the learning curve of a rhythm game.
In our game, music is power. So the story takes place in the city that is ruled by an EDM empire. The name of this empire is No Straight Roads, which is also the title of our game.
You control an indie rock band fighting against NSR's collection of artists. On each stage, you will face each of these artists with their unique genres, ranging from music DJs, bubbly pop idol, child classical pianists. So how do you fight them? By hijacking their concerts.
Mayday and Zook, I knew it!
A typical rhythm game would involve bars falling down to the line, and then you have to press according to the beat. And not everybody loves that. So we have introduced a game mechanic where you can get the excitement of a rhythm game, but without the pressure of following the beat.
enemies follow the beat of the music. For example, bomb attacks. Instead of dropping down randomly, the bombs drop according to the beat of the music. So it's kind of like listening to your favorite song. The next time before the chorus comes, you kind of are ready for it already.
You play this game just like any other action games. You attack, move, and jump whenever you want, and just as freely. By just playing music towards the objects, you can transform it into something new in this game. Hence, the word music changed the world.
On one hand, we have the heroes, Mayday and Zook, in their indie band, Pangbet Junction. They represent rock. And on the other hand, we have the villains who represent EDM. The music will shift from rock to EDM and maybe back to rock, depending on the player's performance.
So the game, because it's musical in nature, we want to put a lot of emphasis on the music. And to help us with this, we had a lot of composers helping us with it. So we have Falk, who has worked on multiple Final Fantasy series, Sonic games, as well as Made in the Abyss. And then we have James Landino, who worked on Citus, Padgeman, and Andy, who both worked on Spark the Electric Jester. We work together to try and find ways to bridge between the music and the gameplay. So we programmed it in such a way that we can basically change the music between these three genres on the fly anytime when we want it and anywhere we want it.
I designed the look and feel of the game in overall. I've done several murals around Malaysia. I have one in Pulau Ketam, I have one in Sarawak. I was able to bring in a different perspective to the art. I hope the players will be able to understand the story and motivation of each boss just by the visuals alone.
No Straight Roads is about art and music. Sure, on the surface, you can enjoy the world through the crazy visuals and the wacky boss fights. But on a deeper level, we do want to tell a story about what it means to be an artist. Why do you play music? It is a topic that we are very passionate about, and we hope that it will also resonate with the players too.
Mayday and Zook are literally an underground band. They live in the sewers. So each room inside the sewer actually is a room that you can customize your equipment, and you can even see how many fans that you have. So once you've exited the sewer, you'll enter into Vinyl City. The districts that you can explore are actually a visual representation of the NSR artists that you will encounter in the game.
I specialize in fictional advertising. So I imagine myself as an ad agency. The idea was to make the whole Vinyl City bombarded with ads. We want to make the advertising to feel real as possible, and also to annoy you as a hero versus the EDM empire. That's the whole idea.
So you can play as an indie rock band fighting an EDM empire in a music-centric action game that is not a rhythm game. 2019 will be an exciting year for all of us because we're working hard and we're having a lot of fun to finish the game so that you can be part of the music revolution this spring.
It'll be released in PS4 and Steam.
So, do you know how to play the guitar?
What? Oh, nope.
No.
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 Really don't know.
Do I know how to play the guitar?
So those are basically the team that work on No Straight Roads, and led by Wan Hazmi. He used to be the Final Fantasy lead game designer, famous for bringing back, making roti canai, teh tarik, nasi ayam and satay into a game, a Japanese game, and you can play and get a HD roti canai in a city called, I can't remember the name anymore. So you can actually go and play that game, right? So moving on, we have this team, Amobug Studios. So they are among the pioneer users of Unreal. So they make AAA looking games, shooting element, and the game is multiplayer, RTS and FPS element. That's Azimius. It's available on the early access on Steam now, so you can check it out and support local made product. Next, we have this game called Real Agent, made by a company called Magnus Game Studios. They've gotten 2 million ringgit crowdfunding. So it's a multiplayer co-op game and will be released for early access sometime this year. So, okay, moving on. We also do a conference or in the game industry event, Level Up KL. It's one of the biggest in South Asia. So let's just take a look. So Game Jam is basically making games over 36 hours.
So when we say that we want to be a hub, it is an aspiration, and the way we have defined it right now is how holistic it is in terms of the community and the ecosystem that we're building. So it's an aspiration, and I think if you define it from the perspective of the most comprehensive ecosystem right now in Southeast Asia, we are in Malaysia right now. We have the most comprehensive, and that is the context of which we say is a hub. But we say it not from a benchmark perspective, we say it from an aspiration perspective.
The great thing is that the content creators, and because of these platforms that we have and the constant conversations that we have, and even feedback that we get from the industry, we're able to adapt and be able to help our companies understand, and even from their own experience, which markets will be important to them. There's a lot of opportunities out there, just trying to find the right path. And this can happen when you have a community that's speaking to each other and sharing, and then be able to look at where they want to go in the future.
Okay, the last one related to today. MDEC is championing healthy gaming. It's basically a campaign and awareness for us. And I have my friend here, Yusri. Can you put up your hand? Yusri. So those are the guys at the back. They are in charge of healthy gaming and esports for MDEC. And as you probably know that we are putting a lot of focus for it this year. And just to sort of share a bit of background of the game industry and where we're moving forward with this, I'll end the video with the last video. So Malaysian studio work on some of the top IPs in the world.
I really love being here at Level Up. The energy here is really great, and it's been wonderful to learn a bit more about the Malaysian games industry.
So that's all from me. I'll just keep to the last part. Basically, Malaysia boleh majulah game industry untuk negara. Thank you.
Thank you, Bas, for the sharing session, also for all the info on Malaysian gaming. And if you recognize one of the guy that's actually leading the Metronomic when they produce the No Straight Line game, Wan Hazmi, he used to lead the designing team for Final Fantasy in Japan, but now he's back to contribute for our esports scene by establishing their own company, Metronomic, that is inventing the No Straight Line games. Correct me if I'm wrong? Yes, correct. Thank you, Bas, for the session, and thank you guys for patiently listening to the talk. And we have our final session of the giveaway for the day. So I would like to invite again finalists of Miss Universe 2018, Poon Ho Yan, aka Jessica, and also, all right, are you alone or you have another angel with you? Huh? Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, anyway, thank you for watching the final sharing session on XPAXKEK as well as My Game On. And don't forget to stay tuned for XPAXKEK, because tomorrow and Sunday we have more exciting activities for you guys, and we have artist performance, we have another run of giveaway as well as other amazing stuff happening in UTP. So see you guys tomorrow and Sunday for another round of exciting giveaway in XPAXKEK.